Reflections, want to support this channel? Check out my merch shop on Etsy. I have a lot of cool stuff. Hey Reflections. Today I wanted to talk about how I meditate. A few of you have asked in the DMs and comments, and I decided why not talk about that today. One of my very popular videos about hypnagogic hallucinations, I received a lot of comments and a lot of questions about hypnagogic hallucinations, about astral projection, and about lucid dreams. So that's basically what I'm going to be talking about today. The first thing that I want to talk about is the number one comment that I get, and that is fear. On my top 10 hypnagogic hallucinations video, which sounds really silly and stupid now, considering 4 years later, and I have them every single day. It's silly to think that very early on in my journey that I could have a top 10, or it just seems silly. But anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is fear. A lot of people talk about their fear. I no longer fear about talking about this subject. Firstly, because I removed everybody in my life that triggered that fear. So we have to remove the fear, if not completely, working on it, because even myself, I have not completely removed all the fear. It happens, and it's human, and it's completely natural. So don't really beat yourself up too much for it. So fear. When I was first starting out, I would get people and my family members, they would give me information, and they would give me stories about people in the family that were also sensitive or extrasensory or whatever you want to call it. And they would tell me, don't do it, it's evil, don't meditate. And that triggered a very interesting thought or question. What is there to fear? My consciousness? You know, lack of thought, sleep, death. Those are all things that one fears when they fear meditation. The number one fear they had said was the person in our family that was meditating, they grew addicted to it. And I personally feel with anything in our lives, we have to moderate the intake. So I moderate how much time I spend online. I moderate how much time I spend cleaning. I moderate how much time I, put effort into my art and my videos and everything. I have to manage my time correctly, and anything like food or sex or drugs or anything, if in excess, is just no good, if you catch my drift. So that was something that I had to kind of remove, was the negative self-doubt within myself and the people around me. That's the number one thing. Number two, you are not alone. And I've learned this the more I've shared along the years. I've realized that since doing this, before I was really afraid to talk about this, because when I did, people thought it was weird. People said, don't talk about it. People on the internet would say you're lying and all this stuff, but it doesn't really bother me anymore because I have met and been in contact with enough people, like in the hundreds, that have experienced the same exact thing. So if you don't experience it right now, it's okay. It's fine. And there are different ways to experience, so not everything is visionary. So try to get rid of the fear. There's nothing to fear but death. No, there is nothing to fear, not even death. So, sorry, I worded that wrong. When you are afraid of, in these instances, you're just afraid of the human aspects of yourself. And when you are spirit or in the astral world, those same rules don't really apply, even though you think they apply. It's just a lucid dream. It's just natural projection. It's just a hypnagogic hallucination. So don't worry, it's not anything. Okay, so I was editing and I had saw that I had left something out. If you are meditating, try to go in with intent. If you have a question that you need answered, if you have an issue that you need guidance for, you can do so by taking that question into your meditation and then receiving guidance through a moving picture or an image that you've received from your higher self, the Akashic records, or an entity in which you choose to work with. And now that we got that out of the way, there are a few tools that I use. Again, you don't need anything. You don't need anything at all. This is just me. This is what I do. I filmed a segment of me meditating and how I do it, what I use. As you can see here, I'm lying down with my weighted blanket and my headphone blindfolds on. I'm currently listening to a binaural beat soundtrack, and I'm just relaxing myself and relaxing my mind and getting into a very relaxed, no thought, trance-like state. And I'll probably be doing this from 20 minutes to an hour. That's usually how long I like to personally meditate. What I use and all of that stuff. It's right here. I'm just looking for the stuff that I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to put links down below for everything that I use, just so you guys know. Again, you don't need any of this. These are just tools to enhance. These are tools to get to a place of silence and oneness. So the first thing that I want to show you guys, again, you don't need anything. You could literally just take a sheet and wrap it around your head, or take a pillow and put it, on your head. I personally don't like that because it's just too much weight on me. But I like to, number one, if you're going to do this, cleanse your space. Number two, cleanse yourself. Number three, make a sacred space like I have. Think about the colors. Think about, again, this is all stuff you don't need to do. Let me reiterate that. You can meditate in a cave. You can meditate with nothing. You don't need any of this. I'll say that again because a lot of people might think that I'm saying you need this, but you do not. This is what I do in my home to make things a more enhanced and you know, comfortable experience. So I like to make a sacred space. I usually meditate in my bed. I usually meditate in the morning after I wake up. Do not try this when you are sleepy, because if you do this when you're sleepy, you will fall asleep. So do this in the morning, do this at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., whenever you are awake. Number two, I like to put crystals. I like to work with crystals. So I put crystals all around my bed. Again, you don't need to do this. This is what I do. I use rose quartz and amethyst crystals on my bed, and I wrap them around and they light up. So that's the second thing I do. The third thing I do, or maybe was that the first thing I do? I use these. I got these on Amazon. These are 20 bucks. These were 20 bucks. These are blindfolds with headphones in them. Now, when you do this, sometimes, here's where the wireless everything is, stop and play, whatever, you can skip. So, and also the back, they have little places for your eyes, so you can keep your eyes open. This is why I kind of like this. And this is where you charge it. So these eye shades I use because I meditate in the morning and the afternoon as soon as I wake up, because I feel that that's the best way to start your day, and that sets the tone for the frequency that you are going to be attracting and emitting. So I use blindfolds. These are really good because they block out all the light and you can open your eyes while you're wearing them. And that's what I was going to talk about. That's one of the techniques I use. You don't have to use this. You could, I like to use headphones because I usually used to use earbuds, but I read that earbuds and sleeping or meditating in them are actually not very good for you. So that's why I decided to get them built in. They don't hurt if you're like on your side or anything. So this is why. And the reason why I use these is because I like to use theta frequencies or binaural beats. Now, again, you do not have to do this. This is what I do to get in a certain state. It's Mina from the future again. I realized I forgot to tell you guys, I also have eye shades in my store. Check them out. They're awesome. And they have sacred geometry on them. Self-hypnosis or altered state. Now, I wanted to say, before I go on to the next thing, there are different types of meditations, and the way to get there the quickest, I think, is with sensory deprivation. Now, this is usually what you would want to do. This is what I would prefer to do, but since I don't have a float tank, and those are extremely expensive, and all the float centers where I am are currently shut down because of, you know, what's going on. I have to just meditate, and personally I like sensory deprivation because you want to detach from your body, you want to detach from this 3D reality, so you need to just zone out, and the best way is to not be stimulated by anything. So that's why eye shades are great. Sensory deprivation with float tanks, if you can. If not, you can just meditate the regular way. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, the next thing that I use. The next thing I use is weighted blankets. Again, you don't need this, but it really works for me. And the reason why I use weighted blankets is I don't meditate for very long, and you can't use a weighted blanket for very long. So it's perfect for meditation because you want to, or I want to, what I would do was I would meditate for 20 minutes to 30-40 minutes, and that's about the time you want to wear a weighted blanket. The reason why I wear weighted blankets is because I have sleep disorders, I have insomnia, I have anxiety, I have PTSD that I'm still working through. And I laugh because it's still a lot. But that's why I use the weighted blanket, because the weighted blanket simulates a hug, or simulates being in the womb or being swaddled. And that feeling is very comforting and helps relax me and get me into that Zen meditative state. So those are the tools I use: frequencies, tones, binaural beats, headphones with the eyeshades, and that's it. That's all I use. Oh, and crystals. After that, how do I meditate? Now, there are different ways. Like I said, there's sensory deprivation, where you're suspended in water with salt, and that's lying down. Then there is the lotus position and sitting in a chair. I personally do not do that, although I do sometimes meditate in a chair or on the couch or something like that. That I'll do sometimes, but for the most part, I will meditate lying down in a reclined position with about 2, 3, 4 pillows sometimes, to get in a very relaxed, lucid state. So that's what I do. The next thing I do, while I have the eye shades on, you want to look in the back of your eyelids. That's what you want to do. Like Terence McKenna says, look at the back of your eyelids. What are you going to see? The first thing you're going to see is nothing. Darkness. You know, the void, the black, space, nothing, you know, so that's what you're going to see first. Then you're going to see, if you keep on no thought, you know, there are going to be a whole bunch of thoughts rushing into your mind, whatever. Just focus on the back of your eyelids. And that's really how, what helps me when I'm thinking about things that are going on in the day, when I'm really excited about something that's going on in the middle of the day, I will focus on the back of my eyelids or focus on my heartbeat. Another thing I wanted to say, I know a lot of people use incense and perfumes and essential oils and all of this stuff and sage and burn different herbs while meditating, but personally for me, again, this is a personal preference. I choose not to, because anything that awakens the senses, I just don't. I find that stops me from completely letting go. So anything that's very, smells like perfumey, anything that smells bad, I try not to have, because I don't want to be grounded back into this plane. Anyway, another thing, I know that people don't use tones or any music or anything sometimes, which I used to be. I never used to use anything. Because again, it grounds you back into 3D. So I try sometimes to just do it in complete silence. That's, you know, a personal preference, or you can use tones or meditation soundtracks. What else? Okay, now that I talked about, and this is the same process that I use in the daytime and the nighttime. So if you're going to practice, understand this is a practice. This is a, this is like anything else. You clean, you exercise, you do all this stuff. Well, you have to take some time out of your day to do this. So I do this in the daytime and the nighttime. In the daytime, I'll do my morning meditation and my morning ritual, and in the nighttime, I'll do my nighttime meditation and ritual. They're both the same. except in the nighttime I end up falling asleep, and that gets me into the astral space, the lucid space, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. After I talk about the hypnagogic states, which you do see in meditations. So again, the same stuff, flashes of white light. That's usually the thing that I have the most trouble controlling, because when I see a flash, my immediate reaction is to, you know, just be scared, or to, you know, just like shake out of it. But that collapses the hypnagogic hallucination. That usually lasts anywhere between 1 or 2 seconds to sometimes they linger 7 to 8 seconds. That's why it's best to have a dream or whatever journal or art journal, so you can sketch or write whatever you see immediately. Let's see, what else? This is all, again, years of stuff that has worked for me and I've collected along the way that might work for you. This is what I do. Everybody does things differently, but this is what is best for me. The types of hypnagogic hallucinations I usually see is geometry. Oh, well, I'm going to talk about first what the markers are. Wow, we're 18 minutes and I haven't even talked about it. What I see usually, how it starts, when you look in the back of your eyelids, you're going to see what looks like a blob of yellowish green. That's what you're gonna see. And then it's gonna turn from one blob of yellowish green to, it's gonna look with like a circle within a circle within a circle, and it's just gonna go into infinity. And that's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see a circle within a circle of yellowish green blobs. And then once you see that, keep on looking in back of your eyelids, keep on having no thought, keep on zoning out, and then you're gonna see a bluish purple blob, and then you're gonna see the yellowish green blob, and then the bluish purple blob, and that's what you're gonna see. This is the beginning stages. Once you see that, oh, you could also reach this state during sex, actually, and you don't even have to try. You don't even, as soon as you close your eyes, you're gonna see this. Try it next time, and I guarantee it will happen. Yeah, so that's the first step. After that, what happens is the deeper you go, the more you go, get like, just let go of everything, let go of what's going on, the more you're gonna see different things. So for me, it usually starts after the blue and the yellow green blobs. I usually see what looks like organisms, like different like organisms, all just like squiggling, or what I like, worms or something, or like, I don't know what they're called, but they're little squiggly things everywhere. And then what I will also see is vines, flowers. Those are usually the first things I see when I'm entering the astral plane. Sometimes I will see, all right, the camera cut off because it's been 20 minutes. Anyway, after seeing the flowers and vines, or the little squiggly organism looking things, I'll see what looks like geometry sometimes. I'll see a dome of geometry, or I will see static, white static. I'll see that. Sometimes you'll see banners. Sometimes you'll see different languages and writing, all types of languages. Languages I don't even know. Some languages which are hereditary and in your DNA. Like for me personally, I will see Arabic, I will see Hindi, I will see a lot of Urdu. I've seen swastikas a lot of times. I've seen different codes and ciphers, cryptography, different symbols, different codes within letters and numbers, not just binary codes, different grids and maps and places, sometimes Braille, different languages and all different types of coded languages, sometimes very like archaic languages as well. What else? Trying to think what type of hypnagogic hallucination. Sometimes they're people, sometimes they're different places, sometimes it's like looking in a doorbell and you see a whole bunch of monsters on the other side. Sometimes there are a whole bunch of people screaming. Whatever it is, just different visions, whatever comes to your imagination. That's another thing. When you start this process, whenever you go to sleep, usually, whenever you go to sleep, a hypnagogic hallucination will start. This is the pre-sleep stage, and then you will start to think a thought, and usually that thought will turn into a dream. For me, at least, this is how it happens. So when I go into a lucid dream, sometimes depending on what I watch, this is why I said cleanse yourself. Be very mindful of what you are taking in vibrationally or energetically, including the content that you watch, including the music that you listen to, everything. So sometimes, for me, I've realized that if I'm like binging on something, or let's say you're watching 12 hours of conspiracy videos, which is not very good, when you do this process of meditation, or when you're going to sleep and you're trying to do this exercise for lucid dreaming, what will happen is you will have a negative thought, and that negative thought will turn into a nightmare, or something violent or whatever. That's why mind your vibe, mind what the things that you are subconsciously picking up and processing while you're taking in the information around you will affect your dream state. Another thing I wanted to talk about, this is a lot of information. This is a lot, but I've been really wanting to do a video like this for a very long time, because this is infinite inspiration. This is you. This is why you're here, and I think meditation is a great tool. This is dream yoga, essentially, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of just doing it after my DMT experience, and then I started really getting into lucid dreaming, and Robert Waggoner, and My Big Toe by Campbell, and all of these people that had the exact same experiences I've had, and the only thing that triggered this was my DMT experience. Before my DMT experience, I did not remember any of my dreams, completely blacked out. And then after DMT, I naturally just started remembering, and that's what I wanted to talk about. It's all one and the same. Hypnagogic hallucinations, lucid dreams, and astral projection, they kind of all work the same. I have more control over some things and less control over other things, and I'm going to talk about that as well, and how to gain control doing this. Some people take herbs, some people burn herbs, some people do baths, ritual baths, salt baths, all that stuff works. Some people use oils on their third eye. I do the same thing. Oils are great because they awaken and stimulate the third eye, so I use that. I really tell people to be careful when they do things the way I did and literally break open their third eye, because it hurts and it's very traumatic and it's a lot, so I just be easy, just be easy. That's what I tell people, because when I blew my third eye open, I actually was in pain for about 3 weeks, to a month, and I couldn't have any, I couldn't go outside. I had to wear eye shades all the time. I couldn't have my blinds open. I was constantly having a migraine, light, very sensitive to light, all of that stuff. So yeah, be careful. But yeah, for me, trying to control a dream. How do we do that? Okay, so we go from hypnagogic state to lucid state. We go into a lucid or dream. You know, if we are lucid, if our awareness is on, then we are aware of the dream that's happening. So when this happens, usually I have less control over my lucid dreams than I do with my hypnagogic state and even the astral state that I find myself in. I just wake up in it and it just happens. I have a lot less control over that, but I still make it a practice, and I think that's why it happens so well. The first reason why it happens a lot is, number one, it's probably familial or genetic. So your ancestors probably were astral projectors or lucid dreamers or anything like that, because for me, this is hereditary. This is within my DNA. This is familial. This is why I laugh when people say certain comments, because we are always connected to spirit. We are engaging with an ancestor magic, and this is all already within you, encoded within your DNA. So, when we are going into a altered state, whether it be, this is why I say it's all the same, whether it be a hypnagogic state, whether it be a lucid dream or an astral projection, if you are not just an observer, if you have any reaction, if your humanness, you know, if you get startled, if you get scared, if you get too emotionally invested, if you are not just an observer without any emotions, if you let your emotions get the best of you, the dream will collapse, the hypnagogic hallucination will collapse, the astral projection will collapse, and you will wake up. So, what we are trying to do is control our emotions, control not having any emotion. And that's also why I say working through the fear. Fear is an emotion. That is a physical reaction to something that you're having. So whenever you have a physical reaction, when you just get startled, or when you wake up really fast, or whatever, that's all just emotion, and you have to work past that. That's the way you gain control. If you control your emotions, if you control not being reactive to a visual experience that's happening to you, then you will have more control and you will be able to make it last longer. So that's basically something that I've had a lot of trouble doing, and I make it a practice. But sometimes I will have, you know, experiences that I will just wake up from really suddenly. So if you try to control that, then you'll be okay. Another thing, let's see. Astral projection. So, oh, I didn't finish talking about lucid dreams. So lucid dreams, usually for me, when it happens, it'll be about either something, you know, for me, the ones that are messages, you know what I mean? That are real messages. They include things that I didn't even know that I had trouble processing. Let's say insecurities, let's say traumas, let's say a really bad relationship that like ended badly and you were super hurt, and you have to, or you need to let go of that situation. You need to confront that person. Well, you can do it yourself, and you can do it in your lucid state or your astral state. And I've done that many times. And usually there will be a lot of emotion with it, and you'll be feeling all of the emotions of what you were feeling at that moment in time, what that person made you feel. That's what you're going to feel. And a lot of the time, it's just things that I haven't processed, traumas I haven't processed. I know some people say when you're working on your trauma all the time and when you're working about yourself, you're doing the work for that, that's very selfish. Well, you know what? I think that's a good thing. Because a lot of people don't. They just pretend that they don't have anything, you know, and that really manifests itself in very horrible and toxic ways. And some of those ways is anger, treating other people negatively or horribly, abusing people, abusing yourself. And a lot of people are just not self-aware. They're really not self-aware of their own behavior. And that's another thing, keeping to yourself. Doing this process and being, again, being more aware when you're trying, or I'm trying to take account for every single feeling and every single thought that I'm thinking, because for the most part, like let's say when I'm programming water, I'm not gonna be like, well, F this person, F my life, F everything. I'm not gonna say that when I'm programming water. Like that's just not happening. So that's what I mean by being aware of your thoughts while it's happening, so you can do things like this. So what was I talking about? Lucid dreams. So what they do is it's kind of like a microscope into your subconscious, into your emotional state. With lucid dreams as well, I can trip. So that's another way that I lucid dream. I've done a lot of drugs that I have not done in real life with lucid dreams because for some reason I want to just, you know, take all of these substances and trip out. So I've tripped countless times in my dream state, and I feel the reason why I do that is because there is a fear of tripping like really deeply again, because I feel like life is very psychedelic, so I'm just trying to balance myself and ground myself so I don't freak out. So I kind of have laid off, you know, I haven't tripped for a while. The last time I tripped was in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And that was fun, but other than it was, you know, introspective, and that's what these trips are within my lucid state. They're the same. You know, I'm doing ayahuasca, I'm doing acid, I'm doing mushrooms, I'm doing peyote, I'm doing all different type of chemicals, and I'm having these really introspective, loving, deep experiences that show or shine light on the hidden aspects of the self and the shadow. So that's one way I trip. Another way is with entities, lucid dreaming, and astral projection, and hypnagogic states. You can see entities in all three states. Again, I think they're like different perspectives or different well, it's the pre-sleep state and the lucid state and the astral state, to me, are just different perspectives of the same thing. And you can get help from entities. I've had, you know, Asian philosophers visiting me in their long, you know, robes of silk and gold and red and white, and they were, you know, teaching me about human suffering and why humans suffer and stuff like that, and how, and you know, the reason why and stuff like that. There are other entities that I've seen that are, you know, from different star systems or different multi-dimensional beings. The Virgin Mary being one of them was a multi-dimensional being that I met in Palestine or Jerusalem, one of those places on an island of water, very symbolic, very very feminine energy, and I saw the moonlight shine and everything. So that was a multidimensional entity that gave me a lot of divine feminine power. And yeah, so people, different entities can give you different things. Even malevolent entities, or what people consider malevolent entities, like let's say Satan or the devil, he gave me a lot of information, and actually he gave me a heads up, so thank you. And the Virgin Mary gave me a heads up. Thank you. It's really interesting because you don't have to be religious, or you don't have to identify as any religion, again, to have contact with these entities. You just have to be open to having these experiences. And when I look back at all the information that I had gotten in 2016 and 2018, it actually really prepared me, and I saw everything. You know, I saw my wedding, I saw getting married before it happened, I saw the destruction and chaos that's been happening recently. I saw a lot, and that humans would eventually have to change and evolve, or face our inevitable death. Everything comes back to being here for a very small period of time and learning, you know. So when I said healing is really important, when you heal yourself in the now, you heal simultaneously the past and the future, your ancestors and the future generations. This is why this stuff is very important. This is why I'm sharing it. But yeah, that's the entity contact. So a lot of the entity contact is really heavy stuff. It's a lot of deep stuff, and you have to be really, like, when I first started, I just didn't, like, I didn't get, you know, the seriousness of dream yoga. I didn't get it. And the more I stayed connected, and I feel the reason why I stayed connected is because I made it a practice. And I said, if I ever opened up my third eye, I'm gonna make this practice. Am I done with lucid dreaming? Okay. Astral projection. Astral projection is just, again, a different perspective of lucid dreaming to me. Astral projection is also very much intertwined with remote viewing. There's a book on remote viewing, I forget, Mindreach. Read that. It's a very good. I'll link the resources for different books on astral projection and lucid dreaming and all of that stuff, because this really actually is a thing. And when people say it's not real, no, it was a CIA, you know, whole entire thing, whole entire project, and people were actually remote viewing, and they were doing it, again, reclined. This is why I recline. This is why I lay back. It's a lot easier not when you're like completely flat, but when you're propped up and reclined a little bit to astral or to remote view. This has only happened to me a few times, so I can't really talk too much about it, but usually when I'm going through major changes within my life, this is when I remote view. I do not have a huge control on remote viewing and astral projection. It kind of just happens, again, with my lucid dreams. I kind of just remember. And I usually start remembering things once I start becoming lucid. If I don't hold back the emotion, hold back the fear, hold back the excitement, hold back the wonder, hold back anything, the dream collapses, the lucid dream collapses, the astral projection, the remote view, everything just collapses. So learn to control your emotions while doing this. Remote viewing and astral projection. So for me, when astral projection happens, it happens while in different perspectives. So for astral projection, I could be one, flying and looking down, and it's an aerial view. Another time I was in the astral plane, and I was over the Andes, and I was just like, oh, let me take a picture, and I took out my astral phone and I took an astral selfie and I uploaded it to astral Facebook or Instagram. I'm serious. And then I woke up, but this is a astral projection experience. Another time I was flying with my significant other. I will be, and it's funny because I have fears. That's what I wanted to talk about. With lucid dreams, you can take care of different phobias and fears you have. A lot of emotional traumas you have. A lot of, like different, I don't know, just self-improvement. So for me, I have a fear of flying, and I'm constantly flying. And it's so funny because in 3D world, Samina, she's afraid of heights, but astral Samina is always flying. So you can work out fears, you can work out phobias with this as well. For the astral projection, yeah, so the first one will be me flying. Another astral projection experience will be seeing maps and traveling. So you will literally see yourself traveling across the map or to another place, another country on a map. Another way this happens is projections, actual projections. So I've had experiences with people where whenever anybody talks to me, by the way, I hope that you have an experience after watching this video, because a lot of people tell me as soon as they talk to me, they have a lucid dream or they have an experience like this. So yeah, astral projection, you can actually project yourself, your image, your like this, like a YouTube video, like a projection like this of me will project into somebody else's dream. I've actually, my time traveler video from 2029 or whatever, that video was a projection experience where this entity from another time period had projected into my space. And that's how some experiences can be had. What else? Remote viewing, there are different triggers. Look out for triggers. There are different triggers that will trigger you into knowing whether you're lucid dreaming or not. One of them being looking in the back of your hands. That works a lot. Putting up a sign on your ceiling so you can read. If you can't read it, chances are you're sleeping. If you can read it, chances are you're awake. These things help me realize when I'm in a dream or not, and also they help when you're being triggered. So different triggers can be not being able to see your hands, not being able to look at things twice, seeing distortions. These are all triggers to awaken your consciousness so you can be aware and know that you are in fact in a lucid dream. Another thing that I haven't really covered is night terrors, because I don't really have them. I mean, I do, but I don't see them as terrifying, so it's like different. And also when these types of experiences are most common occurring, for me, it happens a lot, maybe 3 to 5 times a week. But for the most part, it's most active during the moon phases and the moon cycles, and it's most active during the full moon. So yeah, let's see, is there anything that I missed? I know there's something I missed. I couldn't have covered everything. Yeah. Protect yourself before you go in. Protect yourself. Mind what you're intaking. Oh, another thing that I forgot that I wanted to talk about, different side effects or things that I don't like about lucid dreaming and stuff, things that kind of creep me out, the side effects, if you will. Not being able to distinguish what is and what isn't a dream. That's something that I don't really like. That's happened a lot since I've been lucid dreaming a lot, and it's kind of scary and I don't really like it, and I kind of wanted to talk about it so other people can relate and know that it's a thing, and know that it also happens to me, you know, and it probably happens to other people as well. But I will remember a dream later, you know, 3 or 4 days later, and I'll be like, was that a dream or did that actually happen? You know, things like that, I'm not really cool with. So it kind of messes with reality sometimes. It kind of messes with your head. Oh, I didn't talk about the feeling and the intuitive bliss states. Yeah, okay, so thank goodness I didn't end the video because I forgot a whole different type of sleep state or meditative state. So you will experience, not all of them are visual or visionary. Some of them are feeling and emotion-based, feeling-based. One of them was a bliss state, or a ruminating thought current of bliss, and you will be bathing in what is like a bath of bliss, or a bath of bliss and enlightenment all in one. And I feel that one can only truly reach enlightenment or an enlightened state truly in the sleep state. You can have glimpses in the middle of the night when you're getting downloads and, you know, this infinite inspiration and knowledge, but for the most part, for me, it happens in the sleep state. Let's see, ruminating thought currents. So these will be very emotional based, very feeling based. A lot of them will be just feeling your neuroplasticity, you know, I feel like this used to happen to me earlier on. I would, when I was taking the psychedelics, I would fall asleep and then I would feel the neuroplasticity within my brain changing. And while that was happening, I would feel these electrical sparks in my brain while I was having these like just endless, like, it's just bliss, you know, and just bathing in bliss while my neurochemistry is changing and new paths are being connected, and new, I guess, rewiring of your thought patterns and rewiring. If you rewire the way you think, then your reality changes with that too. So yeah, I think I covered everything. I think I did. And it's getting pretty late. But anyway, reflections. I hope I covered anything. If I did miss anything, please comment down below. Please feel free to ask. This is all just information that I've gathered over the 4 years of meditating and lucid dreaming and astral projecting. It's a practice, but it's also very intuitive and within the self. So don't feel bad if it doesn't happen right away. Don't feel bad. Just keep at it. And the more you make it a practice, the easier it will get. The fear, don't worry if you do not get rid of the fear. I feel that everybody's always like, get rid of the fear, get rid of the fear, get rid of... But you'll let go of it, you know, eventually. It's kind of like you let a little bit go, and then you let a little bit go, and then you let a little bit go, and then, you know, 3 or 4 years down the line, you've let a lot of it go, you know? So, anyway, reflections. I hope that helped, and I hope that was very useful information. Anyway, I hope you're having an awesome, awesome, awesome day.